a renowned surgeon diagnosed with a degenerative disease, making an unexpected decision that challenges everything we think we know about legacy and perseverance. This is not just a story about survival. It's a tale of passing the torch in a way that defies the odds, intertwines love with hope, and promises a quick glimpse into the power of human resilience. Robert was at the peak of his career, a renowned surgeon whose skill and precision were unmatched. His days were filled with complex surgeries, life-saving decisions, and the respect of his peers. But one fateful afternoon, everything changed. Robert had been feeling off for a while, tremors in his hands, a strange weakness in his muscles. Initially, he brushed it off as stress or fatigue, but the symptoms persisted. Finally, he decided to see a specialist. As he sat in the doctor's office, the gravity of the situation began to sink in. The doctor walked in, carrying a stack of test results and an expression that Robert had seen on the faces of many of his own patients. "Robert, we need to talk," the doctor began, his voice heavy with concern. "The tests have confirmed that you have a genetic degenerative disease. It's progressive and, unfortunately, there's no cure." The words hit Robert like a punch to the gut. He felt the world around him blur, the sterile office suddenly suffocating. For a moment, Robert was silent, grappling with the enormity of the diagnosis. This disease meant the end of his career, the end of everything he had worked so hard to achieve. But more than that, it meant a future filled with increasing disability and dependence. He thought of his family, his patients, and the legacy he had hoped to leave behind. Gathering his strength, Robert asked, "How much time do I have?" The doctor sighed, "It's hard to say, but we need to start planning for the future now." That evening, Robert sat alone in his study, staring at the numerous awards and accolades that adorned the walls. They felt meaningless now, mere tokens of a life that was slipping away. But then, his thoughts turned to his son, James. James had recently become a doctor, following in his father's footsteps. He was talented, dedicated, and passionate about medicine. Robert realized that while his own time might be running out, he could still ensure that his legacy lived on through James. With a renewed sense of purpose, Robert called James into his study. "Son, we need to talk," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. He explained the diagnosis, the prognosis, and the plan he had in mind. "I want to train you, James. I want you to carry on my work, to be even better than I ever was." James listened, his heart breaking for his father, but also filled with determination. "Dad, I'm here. We'll get through this together. I'll make you proud." In that moment, a new chapter began for both of them. It was a chapter filled with uncertainty and challenges, but also with hope and the promise of a legacy that would endure. Robert knew that his time as a surgeon might be coming to an end, but with James by his side, his life's work would continue. Robert's diagnosis had cast a shadow over their lives, but it also ignited a new purpose. Determined to prepare James for the challenges ahead, Robert devoted himself to training his son. The process was intense, demanding, and deeply personal. Each morning, they arrived at the hospital before dawn. The halls were quiet, the air filled with the sterile scent of disinfectant. Robert led James through the routines of the surgical ward, explaining the nuances of each procedure, the importance of every decision. "Surgery is an art, James," he would say. "It requires precision, but also intuition. You need to trust your hands, but more importantly, trust your heart." In the operating room, Robert was both mentor and teacher. He demonstrated advanced techniques, guiding James's hands through complex surgeries. The stakes were high, but Robert's calm presence and wealth of experience provided a steadying influence. James absorbed every lesson, every piece of advice, knowing that this was not just about mastering a skill, but about continuing a legacy. Outside the operating room, their training continued. Robert introduced James to the patients, emphasizing the importance of empathy and communication. "Our job isn't just to operate," he explained. "It's to care for people, to give them hope when they're at their most vulnerable." James watched as his father interacted with patients, seeing the compassion in his eyes, the genuine concern in his voice. These moments were as crucial as any surgical lesson, teaching James the human side of medicine. Robert also shared his personal notes and research, the culmination of decades of experience and innovation. They spent hours poring over medical journals and case studies, discussing the latest advancements in the field. Robert's insights were invaluable, offering a perspective that was both practical and visionary. Medicine is always evolving, he would say. You need to be a student for life, always learning, always pushing the boundaries. Despite the rigorous training, there were moments of levity and bonding. They shared meals in the hospital cafeteria, reminiscing about family vacations and past experiences. These conversations reminded them of the bond they shared, a bond that went beyond medicine. They were father and son, united by love and mutual respect. One evening, after a particularly challenging surgery, Robert and James stood together in the empty operating room. The tension of the day melted away, replaced by a sense of accomplishment. "You did well today, James," Robert said, his voice filled with pride. "I'm proud of you." James looked at his father, feeling a surge of emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you, Dad. Thank you for everything." As the months passed, James grew more confident and capable. Robert's illness progressed, but his spirit remained unbroken. He watched with pride as James took on more responsibilities, handling complex cases with skill and compassion. The torch had been passed, and Robert knew that his legacy was in good hands. Through this journey, Robert and James discovered a new dimension to their relationship. It was a journey of mentorship and learning, but also of love and connection. Together, they faced the challenges, celebrated the victories, and prepared for the future with hope and determination. Robert's time as a surgeon might be ending, but his influence would continue to shape lives through James, the son who had become his greatest achievement. Robert's condition was worsening, and they both knew time was running out. Every day became a race against the clock to prepare James for the immense responsibility that lay ahead. The hospital, once a place of routine and familiarity, now felt like a battlefield where every moment counted. Their mornings started even earlier. Robert pushed James harder, knowing that he needed to transfer as much knowledge and skill as possible. In the operating room, the atmosphere was electric with urgency. Robert meticulously demonstrated complex procedures, his hands steady despite the tremors that had begun to creep in. "Precision is key, James," he would emphasize. "You must anticipate every move, every possible complication." The pressure was immense, but James rose to the challenge. He studied late into the night, immersing himself in surgical texts and Robert's extensive notes. They discussed advanced techniques and the latest medical innovations, their conversations deep and intense. Robert's insights were invaluable, a treasure trove of experience that James eagerly absorbed. Robert also focused on building James's confidence and decision-making skills. He began to let James take the lead in surgeries, standing by his side to offer guidance and support. The transition was seamless. James handled each procedure with growing expertise, his movements mirroring the precision and confidence of his father. "You're ready for this, James," Robert said one day after a successful operation. "Trust yourself." Outside the operating room, they prepared for a groundbreaking surgery that Robert had been developing for years. This innovative procedure had the potential to save countless lives, but it required impeccable skill and precision. Robert's dream was to see this surgery performed successfully, and he knew that James was the key to making it happen. The planning was exhaustive. They simulated the surgery repeatedly, analyzing every detail and potential complication. Robert's health continued to decline, but his determination only grew stronger. He shared his vision with James, instilling in him the importance of innovation and pushing the boundaries of medicine. "This surgery could change everything," Robert said, his eyes shining with conviction. "We need to get it right." Amid the intense preparations, Robert and James found moments of quiet reflection. They would sit together in Robert's study, surrounded by medical journals and surgical instruments, talking about life and the future. These conversations were a source of strength and comfort, a reminder of the deep bond they shared. "I'm proud of you, James," Robert said one evening, his voice filled with emotion. "You're more than ready." As the day of the surgery approached, the hospital buzzed with anticipation. The medical team, inspired by Robert's vision and James's dedication, rallied behind them. Robert's deteriorating health was a stark reminder of the stakes, but it also fueled their resolve. This was more than just a surgery. It was a culmination of Robert's life's work and a testament to James's growth and potential. The night before the surgery, Robert and James stood in the empty operating room, the weight of the moment heavy in the air. "Tomorrow is the day," Robert said quietly, his voice tinged with both pride and sadness. "I know you'll make me proud." James nodded, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. "I won't let you down, Dad." With the clock ticking and the stakes higher than ever, they were ready to face the ultimate challenge. Robert's legacy and James's future hung in the balance, united by a shared vision and an unbreakable bond. Together, they prepared to make history, knowing that whatever the outcome, they had given everything they had. The day of the surgery had finally arrived. The hospital was buzzing with anticipation, the air thick with tension and hope. This wasn't just any operation. It was the culmination of Robert's life's work and the ultimate test of James's skill and courage. Robert and James stood side by side in the prep room, donning their surgical gowns and gloves. Robert's hands trembled slightly, a stark reminder of his deteriorating condition. He placed a hand on James's shoulder, his eyes filled with a mix of pride and determination. "You've got this, son. Remember everything we've practiced. Trust your instincts." James nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenge ahead. Together, they entered the operating room, where the medical team was already assembled, their faces a mixture of anxiety and admiration. The patient lay on the table, prepped and ready, unaware of the groundbreaking procedure about to unfold. As the surgery began, Robert took on the role of guiding mentor, his voice calm and steady despite his physical limitations. "James, start with the incision here," he directed, pointing with a laser pointer. James's hands moved with precision, every movement measured and deliberate. The initial steps were crucial, setting the stage for the complex procedure that lay ahead. The room was silent, save for the rhythmic beeping of the heart monitor and the soft whispers of the surgical team. Every eye was on James, every breath held in anticipation. Robert's instructions were clear and concise, his vast experience shining through. "Careful now, navigate around the artery," he advised, his voice filled with both authority and reassurance. As the surgery progressed, the complexity increased. James encountered unexpected challenges, moments where his training and instinct were put to the ultimate test. A sudden drop in the patient's blood pressure caused a ripple of concern, but Robert's steady voice cut through the tension. "Stay focused, James. You know what to do." With practiced skill, James stabilized the patient, his hands never faltering. Hours passed in what felt like minutes, the intensity of the operation consuming all sense of time. The most critical part of the surgery approached, a delicate maneuver that required absolute precision. James paused for a moment, feeling the weight of his father's legacy and his own aspirations. He glanced at Robert, who gave him a reassuring nod. "You're ready, James. This is your moment." With a deep breath, James executed the maneuver with flawless accuracy. The room seemed to hold its breath as he completed the final steps of the procedure. The heart monitor's steady rhythm signaled success, and a collective sigh of relief swept through the room. James stepped back, his face a mixture of exhaustion and triumph. Robert, visibly moved, placed a hand on James's shoulder. "You did it, son. We did it." The emotion in his voice was palpable, a mixture of pride, relief, and the bittersweet acknowledgement of his own limitations. The surgical team erupted in quiet applause, their admiration for James evident. The patient was wheeled out to recovery, and the reality of their achievement began to sink in. Robert and James stood alone in the operating room, the enormity of what they had accomplished washing over them. "This is just the beginning, James," Robert said softly, his eyes filled with both hope and the shadow of his illness. "You have a brilliant future ahead of you." James looked at his father, his heart swelling with gratitude and determination. "Thank you, Dad, for everything." They embraced, a silent promise passing between them. Robert's legacy was secure, and James's journey had only just begun. The innovative surgery was not just a medical breakthrough, but a testament to their bond, their courage, and their unwavering commitment to saving lives. The surgery was a resounding success, but it marked more than just a medical victory. It symbolized the enduring bond between Robert and James, father's legacy handed down to his son with love, hope, and unwavering faith. As the days turned into weeks, Robert's health continued to decline, but his spirit remained unbroken. He took solace in knowing that his life's work would continue through James. Back at the hospital, James stepped into his new role with confidence and humility. The staff, inspired by his courage and skill during the groundbreaking surgery, rallied around him. He became a beacon of hope, not just for the patients but for the entire medical community. James embraced the responsibility, carrying forward his father's vision with passion and dedication. Robert's presence lingered in every corner of the hospital. His wisdom echoed in the halls, his influence seen in the practices and procedures that James implemented. The innovative surgery became a cornerstone of their work, saving countless lives and pushing the boundaries of medical science. James honored his father's legacy by continuing to innovate, always striving for excellence and compassion in every aspect of his work. One sunny afternoon, as Robert rested at home, James arrived with exciting news. "Dad, I've been invited to speak at the International Medical Conference about our surgery," he said, his eyes shining with pride. Robert smiled, his heart swelling with emotion. "That's wonderful, James. You've earned it. Go and show the world what we've accomplished." At the conference, James stood before a packed auditorium. He spoke with clarity and passion, sharing the story of their journey, the challenges they faced, and the triumph they achieved together. The audience was captivated, moved by the tale of a father's love and a son's determination. James's presentation was met with thunderous applause, his father's legacy resonating with every word. Back home, Robert watched the recorded speech, tears of pride streaming down his face. He knew his time was limited, but he also knew that he had fulfilled his purpose. His son was ready, more than capable of carrying on the work they had started together. James returned home to find his father smiling, a peaceful contentment in his eyes. "You did it, James. You made me proud," Robert said, his voice filled with love. In the following months, Robert's condition worsened. James was by his side every step of the way, providing the same care and compassion his father had taught him. On a quiet evening, as the sun set outside, Robert passed away peacefully, surrounded by his family. It was a moment of deep sorrow, but also one of profound gratitude and love. James took a moment to reflect on the journey they had shared. He looked at the hospital, the place where his father had spent so many years saving lives, and felt a renewed sense of purpose. He knew that his father's spirit lived on in every life he touched, in every surgery he performed, and in every lesson he passed on to the next generation. As time went on, James continued to innovate and inspire. He mentored young doctors, sharing his father's teachings and his own experiences. The hospital thrived under his leadership, becoming a beacon of excellence and compassion. James's dedication to his father's legacy never wavered, and he carried forward with a heart full of love and hope. The story of Robert and James became a legend in the medical community, a testament to the power of love, dedication, and the unbreakable bond between father and son. It was a legacy of hope, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, the human spirit could triumph. James knew that his father was watching over him, proud of the man he had become and the legacy they had built together. With each life he saved, each innovation he pioneered, James honored his father's memory. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities, and James was ready to embrace it, carrying forward the torch of love, hope, and healing.